Hi, everybody. I'm going to say some things that might surprise you a bit, but I'm going to start off with something that shouldn't surprise you at all. I love comments. Leave me your thoughts below, either about this, how much you loved it, hated it, or were completely indifferent, or just tell me how your day's going. Comment, please. So, if you are a teacher, you might think that your top priority is instruction, but it's not. No, and it's not grading either. It's student safety. If you think about it, hopefully that makes sense. If students are actually unsafe, they're not going to be making progress toward mastery of the standards for your course. First of all, it's essential that you know your school's procedures and expectations for what you need to do to maintain student safety. Most schools have regular drills for fire, severe weather, and unfortunately for intruders, but there are some things that you should be aware of for general safety as well. So, your classroom door. What is the school or system policy? Is it supposed to be open or closed, or is that up to the teacher? If you are supposed to have it closed, do you need to keep it locked or unlocked? Our doors have windows in them. If yours do, are they to be covered or uncovered, or again, is that up to the teacher? Next, does your classroom have a window or windows? If so, what are the guidelines for opening or covering them? Can you have curtains? Is it an emergency exit? How much space do you need to leave between windows and furniture, such as bookshelves or student desks? Additionally, what sort of furniture are you even allowed to have? What is the policy about additional lighting? String lights, lamps. What about rugs or beanbag chairs? Your administration should be able to give you the policies for any of these, but I would check with a fellow teacher first, see if it's written down somewhere. Getting it in writing is always a good idea. Next, hall passes. I just saw something on Twitter the other day about how we should get rid of hall passes and students shouldn't have to ask to use the restroom. Look, I understand the thought behind it. I really do. Legislating bodily functions is controlling, kind of creepy. Not that it doesn't happen all the time in professional settings. I mean, really, can a judge just interrupt a prosecutor's closing arguments if they have to go potty? I don't know. They're the judge. Maybe they can. At any rate, it's not the only situation in which it happens. My point is that while it's unfortunately inconvenient for students, as the teacher, I have to know where they are at all times. And I should have documentation. If a parent comes by to pick somebody up for a dentist appointment and the office comes over the PA system to ask for the student, and I say, oh, I don't know where they are.
That's worse. I mean, you do get how that's worse, right?
Losing track of students is not good. I've been playing around with my pass and log system for a few years now, and I'm going to cover it in a separate video, but I think I found what works best for me. Your school might have a system in place, or again, it might be up to you. In addition, you should make sure that your students never lose track of you. What this means is, do not leave students unattended. Ever. It does not matter how close your room is to the teacher bathroom, or the supply room, or that you're only going to make one copy. Find out when your non-student time is and take care of any out-of-room business at that time. On to drills. The three basic sorts are, again, fire, severe weather, and intruder or lockdown drills. Fire drills are pretty straightforward. They haven't changed much since I was in school, but you should be aware of your school's procedures. At our school, we gather the students and take our emergency bag, which includes the roster, keys, and 3 color cards. Turn off the lights, check the door is locked behind us, and follow the students out of the building to a designated area. There, we check attendance, then show our area leader one of 3 color cards. Green is all clear. Yellow means that a student is not with the class, but as noted before, the teacher should be able to say where the student should have been, restroom, library, etc. Red means that immediate attention is needed. For example, if there's an injury, or if a student who should have been with the class is missing. Area leaders then report into the school's safety director, which for us is one of the assistant principals. After everybody is accounted for, the safety director gives the all clear and we can head back into the building. With a severe weather drill, again we exit the classrooms, but students are kept in central hallways. Students sit against the walls and doors are closed and locked. Once everyone is seated, area leaders check in with the safety director, and after everyone has checked in, we return to class. In a lockdown drill, we stay in the classroom. There are different levels of lockdown. At the most basic, no one is allowed out of the rooms, but instruction and classwork continue as normal otherwise. At the highest level of lockdown, lights are turned off, windows are covered, all devices are silenced, and everyone clusters in an area that cannot be seen from the door. How often schools carry out these drills depends on the requirements and fire codes, and as required by the state legislature. An additional safety precaution is at the beginning of every school year, get to know new faculty and staff. Don't hold an exterior door for somebody you're not familiar with. Don't let it just slam shut in their face either. Greet them and ask them if you can help them. Escort them to the office or other check-in area. Check with your administrators or a fellow teacher, know where that is. Same thing if you see somebody you don't recognize in the school building or a student without a pass. Don't interrogate them, but check in. Where are they headed? If it's a student, whose class are they in right now? Help them get where they should be and contact an administrator. And under no circumstances should an exterior door be propped open. Don't do it yourself, and if you see one that's propped, shut it properly and let an administrator know. Sometimes it happens accidentally. The door gets caught on a pebble or a small twig, and it doesn't close tightly. Tell administration anyhow. And if you want to cover your rear more securely, it doesn't hurt to follow up with an email. So all of these are typically school-wide procedures. In addition, you need to have your own policies in place to let students know what is expected for safe behavior within your classroom. At this point, in addition to students' physical safety, you also need to consider their emotional and psychological safety as well. Now, you may be asking yourself, what does she mean by that? What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that a classroom should be a place where students can share ideas and take risks and make mistakes freely without having to worry about shame or ridicule. Nobody finds humiliation cheerful. I teach high school students, primarily sophomores. Most of them are 15. I don't think there is another demographic group in the world that is more attuned to what other people think of them and what their status is among the group. So, if your classroom isn't a place where students feel comfortable opening up and trying new things, knowing they might not be successful in front of their peers, then they're going to be much more limited in what they're willing to invest. A classroom environment that is unsupportive or even hostile will effectively, what does Stephen King call it in Misery? Oh, right. It will hobble them. They will be trapped, suffering, miserable. And that really isn't how we do our best work. One incredibly important thing that you can do when students first enter the classroom is to find out what name they want to go by and use it. Maybe it's their first name. Maybe it's a shortened version of their first name. Maybe it's a middle name. Maybe they go by something completely different. Whatever it is, as long as it's school appropriate, remember, primarily sophomores here. There have been a few who have explored that boundary. Go with it. Check pronunciation carefully. Accept correction with grace. Practice until you consistently get it right. On a regular basis, model the difference between emotion and action. Responding to difficult challenges or emotionally charged situations with poise isn't easy, even for an adult. Describe the actual physical sensations that accompany the emotion you're experiencing and describe what you can do to help yourself manage it. One example that I get to use on an annoyingly regular basis is responding to frustration with patience. I am not, by nature and practice, a very patient person. I got stuff to do, folks. So when a website won't load, or the school Wi-Fi goes down completely, or the fire alarm goes off, even though we just had a drill week before last, I take a breath. I acknowledge that the situation is frustrating because I was counting on things going differently. I describe the tension in my shoulders and my jaw and around my rib cage and knotting in my stomach. Then I describe taking another breath, more slowly, holding it in so that it expands my torso, and then letting it out slowly and gently. And I say, I am going to use this as an opportunity to practice being patient, because that is clearly something that I have not yet perfected, and practice will be good for me to improve this skill. The more I practice it, the easier it will become in the future. Another vital skill to model is effective communication, particularly listening. I describe active listening in my video, What Teachers Want from Caregivers. I'll try to remember to link it below. It is really, really challenging because you won't always have a chance to switch the rest of the world to bullet time so it pauses while you focus on what one student needs. But hopefully you can carve out a few minutes to talk one-on-one with a couple of students each day. Find out what's going on in their lives and what matters to them. Try to rotate through so that nobody falls through the cracks completely, and touch base with all of your students fairly regularly. Finally, it's important to respond to mistakes or problems with kindness and to insist on the same behavior from everybody else in class. This kind of combines the previous 2 points, identifying a problem and the emotions that result, and then communicating effectively about it. This doesn't mean being fake. It's just that if we think before blurting something out, we can be honest without being unkind. Likewise, we shouldn't ignore problems or pretend that everything is fine when it's not. Doing so deprives everyone of opportunities to learn and grow. We miss out on a chance to make things better than they had been. Prioritizing students' physical and emotional safety doesn't mean that everyone is happy and comfortable all the time, or that there aren't problems, unfortunately. But it does reduce the number of problems as well as the severity, and it helps us know what to do in response. And when we have opportunities to demonstrate that, students learn how to deal with problems that occur. And that's an incredibly important skill. What's a problem that you responded to effectively? What happened as a result? Let me know in the comments. Bye for now.